1231 on the UK time, JTV, 19th of the 7th, 2026. The Mighty Sparrow Calypso, Sir Garfield Sobers.
From the time this series started in Jamaica, we proved that Australia was strong, but only on paper. Before tests in Barbados, they full the scoreboard. Rohan and Seymour carry up we score. Oh Lord, 3 cheers for Nation Kanai. Special praise to Conrad Hunter. Oh, Luna. Brian Davis, Solomon, Lance Gibbs, Hendricks and Bassett Busher. All the boys fought gallantly under so much captaincy. So hip hooray for a glorious victory. Australia, you lost me, West Indies. His boss warring trophy belong to us. I say you lost, you know you lost. Come on. Australia, speak your mind. Australia, don't mind your loss. Better luck next time.
Now, there's a small island, yeah? And not in a disrespectful way, okay? Because, I mean, Jamaica is a small island, yeah? But they're smaller. But what for the achievements that the islands, yeah, the West Indians, right? It's remarkable. It's remarkable. The Mighty Sparrow. Yeah? The Mighty Sparrow. I'm sure it's fair to say Sparrow is the king of Calypso. I'm sure. And that was just a song, okay, titled Garfield Sobers. Okay. Garfield Sobers. Now, when you talk about superstars, yeah, that was Garfield Sobers. Okay, we're talking about superstardom before now, yeah, before now. Just check my levels of my volume. Okay, I wanted to reduce this. Okay, I wanted to. Okay. Right, good. Okay, let me do this quickly. Now, in my time, in my kind of uh, eyewitness moments, there's a guy called Brian Lara. Brian Lara. And before you had Brian Lara, you had man like Viv Richards. but before them was Garfield Sobers, Sir Garfield Sobers. Now, where they differ, as in, say, Lara, okay, Brian Lara, and you may say Viv Richards as well, okay. Sir Garfield Sobers was an all rounder. He bowled, he fielded, and he batted, and he was excellent in all three things. Remember when Garfield Sobers was playing cricket? Yeah. They were playing for their country. Yeah. They were representing their country where they were from. They were representing the area. Right? Cricket. The gentleman's game. Let's have a quick look at cricket. Yeah. Let me tell you about. Let's go for cricket history. Yeah. Quickly. Right. So when you see the game of cricket, yeah. When you see the game of cricket, what are you seeing is something that originated in the 16th century of rural England, right? So not in the cities, in the rural parts of England, and this was likely as a child's game, played with sheep farming tools. Now, I would like for you to look at the last part of that sentence there. No cricket bat. You didn't say they had a cricket bat or they had a piece of wood with sheep farming tools. So here again, you have an example of how people become crafty. In Jamaica, they say that man is crafty. In the UK, same thing. Someone is crafty, yeah. That person's kind of quite good at making things out of nothing. Crafty. It is ingenuity. It is growing up and not having things to hand and making do with what you have. Is something you may find is experienced by people across the globe, the poor people. So over centuries, it evolved from village wages into a structured sport governed by the Marylebone Cricket Club, and is now the world's second most popular sport, featuring test matches. Let me stop there. Right? If there's anyone that loves cricket, you check the Pakistan and the Indians, Sri Lankan. When I say they love cricket, Pakistan lost a test match once. They couldn't return home. No. They couldn't go home. Yeah, the scaffolding was ready for them. It is nothing, when people have a passion, yeah, and it's something that you could strike a conversation. Many of my conversations, right, it's been about cricket, and you can tell someone's passion about a sport. Also, you got to look at who plays cricket. Yeah, so you will mostly find that it's mostly when the British Empire, yeah, when the British Empire was ruling the waves, it became something they introduced to the subjects, which they would have been at the time. They would have been at the time. They were British colonies. They answered to the Queen, yeah, or the King. You may find it was the Queen. Yeah, that would be Queen Elizabeth's grandmother, not her mother, a grandmother. Yeah. Well, then again, it's either Victoria or Elizabeth. Anyway, that right. We're not talking about the empire like in depth, right? So that's why I haven't got that. I wasn't looking at that bit yet. You check how passionate they are over cricket in Asia. It's no joke. It's no joke, right? It's no joke. Let's see if we can get some pictures up. Yeah, you know, and also you will see. So obviously it was an English game. Yeah, it was an English game. So cricket an had it was uh, well cricket. The early days, you would find most of the teams, the people were white, no matter where they were. Yeah, and then so cricket became a struggle in itself. The sport of cricket, for you to see the West Indies, okay, taking on England, the West Indies taking on Australia, and when Australia came to the Oval and played England, and they took home the Ashes. They took home the Ashes. Shout out to South London there. You know what I mean? You know about that? But it became something where the subjects were allowed to play. Somehow, they must have been watching the matches. I presume there may have been a ball boy, or maybe they'd have to cut the lawn or prepare the pitch. Yeah, but they were observing. They were observing, and they started to practice and started to play. And I'm sure there must have been games between, say for an example, the English team, the English people in Australia at the time, yeah? They will play the Australians. You know the Australians that you got now? The ones that the Englishman said that they talk funny. When they send a young lad in Whitechapel, he stole an apple, he went to court, and the judge looked at him and sent him to the New World. Everybody know that Australia is the original Australians is convicts. It was a convict island. Fair to say, Jamaica was a convict, or I mean, right? So it became a battle. It became a battle to even get into the team. Okay, so you have to understand that when a man like Garfield Sobers becomes the all-time all-rounder in cricketing history, and this is something that is said by the Australians, by the English, by the Pakistan team, and by the Indian, Sachin Tendulkar and all them man there. Ask Mr. Khan, my brethren Khan. Ask Waka Yunis. Ask any of them. Shape up top. I mean, come on. Hey, Tendulkar was my boy. Tendulkar, boy. Used to be a fan of Tendulkar. How about that? You have man like Shane Warne, Boulder Googly. Yeah? Which originally was called, is it the Chinese man? Right? Now, when Garfield Sobers was playing cricket, he's playing with the best. Cricketers are great now. They are great. But it's like many sports people, you know, the money side of it. Yeah? The money for me. But saying that, it's just different now. Times are different. So you got to get yourself in the frame of mind to say, what Garfield Sobers, okay, achieved was near enough impossible. I mean, honestly, yeah, we're talking about a sport that you was not allowed to play, right? You'd have a West Indies team, and it would all be all white men, yeah. South Africa, they had a man called, is it Donald? Boy, I tell you, well, they are Dutch, aren't they? Mixture of Dutch, right? Portuguese. South Africa. You know the place where all the great white sharks feast on the sea lions? You have a place called Table Mountain, which is that part of the sea is the roughest you find. Yeah, ships just disappear. There's many shipwrecks around it, but they can't go down there because I tell you, it's no joke. South Africa, none of the people them, white or black, them not easy. Well, look where they're from. You look at some. I mean, honestly, that's another thing. You look at the stuff that's in Africa. Come on, Africa tops anyway, and I mean that is saying a lot because you compete with places like Asia, Europe, and I mean even the West Indies, from some small islands, but man, they're beautiful, man. And you find the people, you know, like Garfield Sobers. Garfield Sobers, I wouldn't, who passed away. Yeah. And you see where he was? He died at home. Born in Bridgetown, Barbados, 28th of July, 1936. And lived up to 17th of July, 2026. So Garfield Sobers one of them men. Yeah. He's seen it all, innit? And this man was the greatest all-rounder in cricketing history. You talk about, against the odds. Now look, even cricket is seen as like an upper class game. Right? It's not something, well look, I grew up watching Beefy, Ian Botham. Would I say Ian Botham was? I don't even know where Ian Botham's from. Never really looked into cricket like that, But I knew who Beefy was. Yeah, you got man like Dickie Bird. Yeah, Dickie Bird passed away not too long ago. You're talking about character of people. Them days are done. That's the only thing will come with age, depending what time frame. But I mean, if you live up to your 80s, you must have you've seen a fair bit. Yeah, you've seen a fair bit, and it's fair to say, so Garfield Sobers saw a bit. Yeah, right. He's not the only one, because remember Garfield Sobers have a best friend. Yeah, right. Okay, right. So this is more than 26 years old. This article from the Guardian. So after midnight, in the first dark hours of September, yeah, the 7th, 1959, 3 West Indian cricketers who were playing in the Lancashire leagues met to travel to London to take part in a charity fixture. A week later, they were due to return to the Caribbean to prepare for the visit of Peter May's England's tourists. Well, I'm not. One second, I don't know why it takes so long. Okay, well, okay, good. Why is that showing? Let me see. What does that say on there? Okay. Well, this is all getting on my nerves. What is all that? Okay, all right. You see what I mean? So, who are we talking about? They were Garfield Sobers, the 23-year-old Barbadian, already considered the world's best all-rounder by the age of 23. Gary Sober running things, who had posted the highest test score or 365. Yeah. In both, what's that? The highest test score of 365 in Trinidad. Yeah. 6 months before. And 2 Jamaicans, Tom Dewdney, 25, a tall, fast bowler with 9 test caps. And Garfield Sober's best friend, O'Neill Gordon Smith, Mighty Mouse. Right. Right. So the whole world knew him as Collie and was considered the second best all-rounder in the game. 2 of them, brethren. 2 of them. Him and Gary Sobers, 23 years old. They listen. So you're not just combating great cricketers at the time. You have all the trimmings that come with it. Yeah. So a few weeks before, Smith had scored 306 for Burnley against Lower House, a league record in a one-day match. So it's fair to say, 2 best friends, we don't know what could have happened. Yes, Sir Gary Sobers, Garfield Sobers, all time. Watch this now. Watch what happened. So Sobers and Smith had been first kept together against the Australians in 1954 and 55. They were both heroes throughout the islands. Smith probably more so. As Henderson Darrell Limpel wrote in his study, 50 Great West Indians, yeah, Hansib, 1983, where many earlier players had been from the plantocracy, yeah, right, or the emerging black middle class, right, all working class people, I immediately identified with Collie, an orphan raised in the heart of Kingston's poorest district at Boys Town. Well, I tell you, if you think them places are rough now, yeah, all right, I'm telling you, right. So right there is showing you something, right? Where many earlier players had been from the plantocracy, from the plantations, or the emerging black middle class, the working class people identified with Collie. So he became a champion. Now, when I was growing up, I had people I look up to, man. Some may have let me down, but when I was growing up, I had people that I looked up to, and the people of Kingston, they identified with Collie. Yeah, we're not saying that they don't. What? Don't think they never loved Gary Sobers as Garfield Sobers. Oh, anyway. So Trevor Bailey's biography of Sobers, yeah, in army slang, Gary and Collie, yeah, were muckers or mates. and very close. They roomed together, liked the same things, laughed at the same jokes, and both had all-absorbing love for cricket. There was never any jealousy, just tremendous mutual admiration and understanding. Boy, I tell you. You know when you have your brethren, you know, like you call it your sidekick. You know what I mean? You see like Batman and Robin. Yeah? What's it? Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah? Who's it? Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. What name again? Danger Mouse and Penfold. Sherlock Holmes and Watson. Yeah. What a partnership. And can you imagine we're getting characters of them, you know. These guys know how to tell a joke. They bring joy. These were playboys back in the day, you know, like superstars. They were superstars. There was a royal lady in India. She asked Gary Sobers that she wanted to get married, and Gary Sobers said no. Pretty. Hey, listen. Why you think some of them man they put the veil on some of them ladies there? Huh? Let me tell you something, right? You have India. Go listen. You could. No, I'm talking about the city back in the day, right? If one of the Indian man ever bring out one of them daughter, yeah, pretty, long hair, pretty. I'm a joke people then, mate. Asian and a joke thing. And they're pretty. You know what I mean? You see them? They're pretty. Well, the prettiest Indian woman asked the hand of marriage from Gary Sobers. And Gary Sobers said no. Huh. Like the drinking, like the, you know, we're talking about 23-year-olds at the top of their game. There wasn't money. This is before this superstar business. But one thing, they loved the sport and they loved the countries that they were from. The West Indians back in the day, right? You would never hear them say a bad word about their country. Yeah? And that spirit, they bring that wherever they went. The Windrush people. You know Desmond's with the barber shop in Peckham. When Norman Beaton coming off, listen, Chris, in three-piece suit, matching hat, shoes shine. Tailor clothes, you know, even Laurie Cunningham wear tailored suit. Man, they don't know about tailor suit. Was it Reed? Was it Reed? I'm sure it was Reed. The footballer. Yeah? Laurie Cunningham. Right? And you have man like Regis. We're talking about West Bromwich. We're talking about Birmingham. Laurie Cunningham played for Leighton Orient. He plays for the Galacticos. He's over there. Listen, something happened there. Something happened to Well, I tell you, mate. Yeah. So he's there with Peter Reid. Yeah. Laurie Cunningham. They're having dinner. Laurie Cunningham, let me tell you, when a man got style, you know, he's a dancer. You find him up by Crackers. Yeah, with the guy from Red Dwarf. And a joke, man, that, you know, a big dancer, the cat. They said that I look like the cat. Yeah, that's what he said. He's the cat. And then I become Eddie. Eddie Murphy. What I tell you, the cat from Red Dwarf. Yeah? Listen, dancers. So they get the menu. I don't know what Peter Reid must say. I don't know what he order. Maybe pie and chips. You know what I mean? Listen, that'd be a luxury for them man there. If you know them man, listen. If you know how some of them footballers, right? Original man. You know, that's why I got my, you know, it's changed now. But, you know, you had respect for man at certain part of the north. A certain mining man, come from mining community. You know what I mean? And all that. Still do. Still do. Yeah? Still do. Now, Laurie Cunningham orders prawns. Peter Reid has never seen it before in his life. He said, Laurie, what are they? I'm a choke thing, man. What are they? What are they? And he's like, you know, man got style, you know. Laurie Cunningham, his England suit. He had it tailor made. It's a prawn, Peter. Have one. You know what I mean? Have one. You know what I mean? It should be, oh, lovely, mate. Yeah, what? You can't. No. But before all them man there, before all that, man like Gary Sobers and Cully, superstars. Not just in the West Indies. In Australia, Gary Sobers ended up marrying that Australian lady. One for Australia. Imagine that. You imagine that. Your life is in danger, you know. You think it's a joke. It's like Jack Johnson and them boxers when he married. Listen, no joke, man, that, you know. To go and do something like that. Boy, in brave. Yeah. And that's what it really comes down to. You know, these guys are brave, man. You know, they're no joke, man. You know, and have pride. You know what I mean? My pride. Yeah, they have pride. So, Gary and Collie picked up Tom in Gary's car for the night to drive to London, yeah, from Manchester. Collie got in the back seat, so the 6'5" fast bowler could stretch his legs in the front. At 4:45 a.m. on the A34 near Stone in Staffordshire, the car hit a cattle truck, and it did not seem too serious an accident. Right, so in his biography, Sober said, I can't remember much except being blinded by headlights as I approached the bend. I'm sure my car was on the right side of the road. The impact left us stunned, but none of us lost consciousness. Don't worry about me looking after the big fellow, Collie told me, referring to Tom, where we were taken to hospital at Stone. Tom was in shock, but no more. I had a acute cut on the eye and severe, nerve in my finger. When asked about Collie, the kind nurse said, don't worry, he's coming along fine. They told me his spinal cord was damaged. I mean, honestly, man. Let me tell you something, right? You see that vehicle, yeah? Right? You see that vehicle thing? Right? Something dangerous, you know. I'm sure people in the future, when they look back at what they're just gonna laugh. Look what they used to do. They used to drive cars, you know. They used to ride a motorbike. They're going to be like laughing to know the impact that these things, man. You know, and Collie dead. Collie died, right? Body flown back to Jamaica, and at his funeral in Boys Town, more than 100,000 people were said to have clamoured into mourning. Listen, man, 100,000 people in Jamaica. Boy, some people can't even get 1, 2, not even 10. 100,000. Boy, this is what I tell you is a tragedy, man. Yeah, it's a tragedy. Collie Smith. Yeah. So driving without due care and attention. So you're involved in a crash, and your best mate, bam, yeah. And it happened just the other day with Joshua them. Eating the drink. So sometimes when you see people, you just don't know what you know what I mean, right? If I judge a man, you will do. That's how it go. Yeah. And so Gary's reaction was predictable. He adopted the philosophy of eat, drink, and be merry. For tomorrow, I die. Only substituting play cricket for eat. But for me, it's like the spirit from Mighty Mouse. Because they were so close. They were so close. Right? Jumping at, listen, because he could have been the end of Gary Sobers right there. Now, so Sobers returned home. May's England arrived, still grieving. Sobers said he will be batting for Collie. In the first test match at Barbados, he made 226 out of 563 before the Jamaica test at Collie's home ground, Sabina Park. The joke places these, man. Sabina Park. Yeah. He met Smith's Boys Town mentor and guardian, Father Hugh Sherlock. He pledged to dedicate every other innings he played at Sabina to the memory of Collie. He scored 147, yeah, leg before wicket by Truman. This is not a joke. Truman was the man for Sobers and Collie to be the best all-rounder. It just shows you. It just shows you. If you seek, you're gonna find. You have it in you, people. You know you have it. But But if you want to look, you have a look, and you'll find it. Yeah. Right. You may can find something that can solve your problems. So, Sobers test batting average on West Indian grounds as follows: Bridgetown 914 runs at an average of 76.16. Yeah, Georgetown, Barbados again, 853, 94.77. Port of Spain, man, got to Trinidad. You have man like Carl Hooper. He's Guyanese. Carl Hooper. Who's from Trinidad again? I know. I wonder Shandapal. Let me just mention him. Shivrin Shandapal. Carl Hooper, all them man there. And like when you look at Carl Hooper's face, it's like you're looking at a black Chinese. Or like a black Japanese, but the one with the slim nose. You go and look at Carl Hooper's face. Dark skin. Dark. But it's his features. Like pencil features. Yeah. Right. So the whole of the Caribbean know about Sobers. Yeah. The whole. Right. And you can imagine when he done what he done. How the people them just start get wild. Get wild. I'm telling you, if I see the cricket, they get wild, you know. Yeah, there's just levels to it. Yeah. When you talk about Asia, it's just off the scales. The Pakistan team couldn't even go home for 3 months. It took them 3 months to calm down. But the English know that. They know that. Right? It is said, right? They're in India, yeah? Right? They're controlling India. And they're having their Earl Grey tea. Yeah? Right? Sitting down with someone with a fan, yeah, fanning them. Extreme heat, yeah, right, in the shade. They got everything there. Listen, lush. Right, I could, as much as I could talk about Emperor Selassie's coronation. You want to see when them Indian man put on a do. They don't muck about. Man, take out ruby. Listen, pearl. Oi. Man, they come up with a ruby. Just on his little hat thing, the ruby and a big old something. Only Africa you can find things bigger than that in Asia. And I tell me, nah, mate. I tell you what, Asia. My gosh, you gonna check the Rajis where they got the harem. I don't know how many women they have in there. When you see me just lying down, getting fed fruits. When you see his attire, ain't no joke. Ain't no joke attire. Man come with silk and all them thing there. Well, are they? Well, I'm telling you, well, the Chinese man is silk, you know. Yeah, they call them places the Silk Road. Yeah, the Silk Road. I'm just you got. I'm telling you what happened there. No, you know, you talk about atmosphere and obviously like you know the spirit of a man. You know, live on. The memory live on. Man's legacy. Yeah. So it's again, it's kind of hats off to Sobers as well. He didn't lie. He started hitting the booze. He may have been hitting whatever he's doing. Yeah, hitting the booze, partying. But but I mean, that was a big loss. I think all of cricket, had a moment of silence for what happened there because of the situation as well. They're both best friends. So Smith toured England just once as a Test cricketer, yeah, in 1957. He's 161 in the first Test at Edgbaston. Remains a glorious memory, as does doubtless for those who were his 168 at Trent Bridge in the third. He had come out of Boys Town less than 3 years before to ransack joyously the touring Australians for 169. He clocked them again for 44 and 104 in his first Test, only in his third first class match. Man's hitting 100 runs. And so Sober said we had a few nicknames for him, but the one was Mighty Mouse. He was the Mighty Mouse. Generally for what he was. Or when he was bowling. Jim, because his cricket hero was England's Jim Laker. No joke, man, them in cricket. You know, is it Studio One? Dodd. That's his. He took the name from a cricketer. Yeah. All right. So, cricket hero was Jim Laker. I'm telling you, right? Off the field, it was wayside preacher, because he would have loved to have ended up like England's David Shepherd, who became a bishop. Now, I'm glad this person's come up, and it must come up for a reason, because you see South Africa, right? I don't know. I can only talk for the Jamaicans, but boy, we had something to say about the apartheid. It's even fair to say our Prime Minister, Mr. Michael Manley, voiced his opinion very loudly that they must boycott South Africa for the apartheid. So when I see South Africa at the World Cup, I tell you, I just said, wow, look at that. And I saw Haiti as well. I said, wow, Cape Verde. I was like, what? Very interesting. I watched it. I sat back and watched it. Yeah, people say I watched it because it's a. I know what I'm watching. Yeah. Right. South Africa would more be cricket. South Africa's not nothing to do with football. I know that they play football because they play very well. Yeah, I'm not saying that people don't play football and they love football. I'm saying it was more cricket and rugby. It's like America. Is yeah, it's baseball. Yeah, it's basketball, but it's NFL. A big something that, you know. They call it the Super Bowl. And a joke thing that, mate. No matter money, what? Have you seen the size of their stadiums? Have you seen the fans? So this is the kind of thing we're talking about. Fan, you know. We're going back to Roman days. You know, when people go to the Colosseum. Yeah. So Michael Manley, definitive history of West Indies cricket. Yeah. Right, from 1988, logs poignantly. Smith was both a student of the game and a cheerful spirit. He had immense character. In team meetings, he was always in the middle of the analysis, obviously abreast of every nuance, full of ideas about what might be done and that which ought not to be done. In short, he was a leader. Just like George Best, when you see the picture of George Best as a kid, and you have another one with Steven Gerrard as a young kid, watch that and see. Listen, when Gerrard start bang and bang, they got, you know, weird. You look out in the garden, you see the little kid doing the kick ups. It's Joe Cole. I know. Remember Joe Cole? Yeah. But you know, yeah. We're talking about an orphan here, right? You know, he don't have no mum and no, nothing like that, nothing like that. And when I look at these people's history, it is there's a theme, there's a pattern. Yeah, that's why I always talk about Louis Armstrong, because when you look at Louis Armstrong with his smile in his face and all that, and James Brown and all that. Yeah, where they come from, man, ain't no joke, you know. Hard early childhood. And it's like they call it diamond in the dust. You see you go into them communities, you see the little leader, you see talent, you see hope. See? So he was a kind of leader that Sobers would have cheerfully accepted when the time come. But that moment never did. Sobers, when the time duly came, took over from Frank Worrell to captain his great sides for Collie's memory. The greatest, Sir Garfield, was 63 this July. Yeah? Collie would have been 66 in May. And I bet he would have been a bishop. JTV. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.